thought spiritual awakening would bring you peace, love, and enlightenment. Instead, you feel like you're losing your mind. Everything you once believed has crumbled. You feel empty, lost, and completely alone. If this sounds familiar, you're not broken. You're experiencing what mystics have called the dark night of the soul. And today, I'm going to explain why this spiritual hell may actually be the most important thing that's ever happened to you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Celine Ray, and today we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood aspects of spiritual growth, the dark night of the soul. If you've been on a spiritual journey and suddenly found yourself in what feels like emotional and spiritual quicksand, this video is for you. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we're about to explore territory that most spiritual teachers won't touch. The term dark night of the soul comes from a 16th century Spanish mystic named Saint John of the Cross. But this experience isn't limited to Christian mystics. It appears across all spiritual traditions. The Buddhists call it spiritual emergency. Hindus recognize it as part of the path to moksha. And modern psychology has started to acknowledge it as a crucial phase of psychological development. So, what exactly is it? The dark night of the soul is a period of spiritual dryness, existential crisis, and profound inner turmoil that often follows an initial spiritual awakening. It's when the ego begins to dissolve, but before your true self has fully emerged. You're caught in a kind of spiritual no man's land. Think of it like this. Imagine you've lived your entire life in a house that you thought was perfect. Then one day, you realize the foundation is cracked, the walls are paper thin, and the whole structure is about to collapse. That house is your old identity, your belief systems, your understanding of reality. The dark night is when that house starts coming down, but your new home isn't built yet. Here's why this experience feels so brutal. First, you lose your anchor points. Everything that once gave your life meaning, your career, relationships, beliefs, even your sense of self, suddenly feels hollow or meaningless. It's like waking up in a foreign country where you don't speak the language. Second, your ego is fighting for its life. The ego's job is to maintain your sense of separate self. When spiritual awakening threatens this, the ego doesn't go quietly. It creates chaos, fear, and resistance. It's like a part of you is literally dying, because it is. Third, you're between worlds. You can't go back to who you were. That innocence is lost. But you haven't yet become who you're meant to be. This liminal space is deeply uncomfortable for the human psyche. Fourth, nobody understands. Try explaining to your friends that you're having an existential crisis because you realize the nature of reality and watch their eyes glaze over. This isolation can feel crushing. Finally, there's no timeline. The dark night doesn't follow a schedule. It could last months or years. This uncertainty adds another layer of torment. But here's what most people don't understand. The dark night of the soul isn't a punishment or mistake. It's actually a sacred process of transformation. Think of it like a butterfly in a chrysalis. From the outside, it looks like death and decay. But what's really happening is complete cellular restructuring. The caterpillar is literally dissolving into soup before reorganizing into something entirely new. The dark night serves several crucial purposes. It strips away false identities. All those roles you played, masks you wore, and stories you told yourself about who you are, they need to go. You can't build an authentic life on a foundation of illusions. It develops spiritual muscle. Just like physical muscles grow through resistance, spiritual strength develops through difficulty. The dark night teaches you to find your center even when everything around you is chaos. It cultivates compassion. When you've been in the depths of despair, you develop genuine empathy for others who are suffering. This isn't intellectual compassion, it's bone-deep understanding. It cultivates what's truly essential. When everything non-essential is stripped away, you discover what actually matters. This isn't something you can think your way to. It has to be lived. How do you know if what you're experiencing is a dark night of the soul versus depression or a mental health crisis? Here are some key indicators. Spiritual practices feel empty. Meditation, prayer, or other practices that once brought you joy now feel meaningless or even repulsive. You question everything. Not just spiritual beliefs, but the nature of reality itself. You might find yourself asking questions like, what's the point of anything? You feel disconnected from your old life. Friends, activities, and interests that once excited you now feel foreign or superficial. You have moments of profound insight mixed with deep despair. The dark night isn't consistently dark. There are often flashes of incredible clarity followed by periods of confusion. You feel simultaneously empty and overwhelmed. It's like being hollow inside while also feeling crushed by the weight of existence. Important note: if you're having thoughts of self-harm or suicide, please reach out to a mental health professional immediately. The dark night of the soul can coexist with clinical depression, and both deserve proper attention and care. So how do you get through this? Here's what actually helps. First, stop trying to fix it. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the dark night has its own timeline and purpose. The more you resist it, the more you suffer. This doesn't mean being passive. It means working with the process instead of against it. Second, find your anchors. When everything feels meaningless, you need small concrete practices that ground you. This might be as simple as taking a daily walk, keeping a journal, or maintaining basic self-care routines. Third, seek the right kind of support. Not everyone will understand what you're going through. Find a therapist who works with spiritual issues, a spiritual director, or a support group for people on similar journeys. Fourth, trust the process. This is perhaps the hardest part. You have to believe that this dissolution is happening for a reason, even when you can't see it. Trust that something new is being born from this chaos. Fifth, practice radical self-compassion. You're not weak for struggling. You're not doing it wrong. You're going through one of the most challenging experiences a human can face. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a dear friend in crisis. Sixth, document the journey. Keep a journal, create art, or find some way to track your experience. Later, you'll be amazed at your own insights and growth. Here's what nobody tells you about the dark night of the soul. It does end. And when it does, you emerge as someone fundamentally different. You develop what I call spiritual antibodies, an inner stability that can't be shaken by external circumstances. You stop seeking validation from others because you found your own inner authority. You become comfortable with uncertainty because you've learned that not knowing is often the beginning of real wisdom. Most importantly, you develop authentic compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. You realize that everyone is struggling with something, everyone is trying to figure it out, and everyone deserves kindness. The person who emerges from the dark night isn't the same person who entered it, and that's exactly the point. If you're currently in a dark night of the soul, I want you to know that you're not alone. This experience, as brutal as it is actually a sign that you're growing. You're shedding old skins that no longer fit. You're being reborn into a more authentic version of yourself. It won't last forever, even though it feels like it will. And when you emerge, not if, but when, you'll understand why it was necessary. Have you experienced a dark night of the soul? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this video helped you feel less alone in your journey, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content about the real, messy, beautiful process of spiritual growth. Remember, the night is darkest before the dawn. Your dawn is coming.